Okay, good morning once again. As you know, we are still on standard costing. Okay, last week we looked at quite a lot, and I asked you guys to go and familiarize yourself with the formula. Okay, as far as standard costing is concerned, that's material variance and then labor variance. You should go and then familiarize yourself with the formula. So I hope by now we are good to go. Now, these are our objectives for today. Um, Today, our major focus will be on objective 3, which is by the end of the lesson, the student should be able to calculate material and labor variances. Okay, that's where our main focus will be based on today. So let's proceed. All right, this is a sample question. Today, we'll be solving quite a number of questions. Um, it is essential that after you have familiarized yourself with the formula, it is just prudent that we practice more. Now, this is the question, illustration 1. An extract of a standard cost for a product called Nawak is below. An extract of a standard cost for a product called Nawak is below. Direct material, 50 kilograms at $1 per kilogram. Direct labor, 10 hours at $8 per hour. Now, bear in mind that as far as questions on standard costing are concerned, they always give you two major costs. Okay, that is standard cost and actual cost. So, from the information, you could realize that they said an extract of a
Sir,
standard. Yeah.
please, I can't hear you.
Oh, okay. Let me increase the volume and see. All right. Can you hear me now? Is it better now? All right. So I was saying that there are two major costs that will be given to you whenever questions on standard costing has been given out. Okay. And those costs are standard costs and then actual costs. So from the illustration, you could realize that they said an extract of a standard cost card. So they are about to give you what? The standard cost. And the standard cost will be given to you based on material and labor. Because you already know, last week we said our major focus will be on material and labor. So these are the standard costs for material and labor. Direct material is 50 kilograms at $1 per kilogram. Direct labor is 10 hours at $8 per hour. So when it comes to the standard cost, this is what it entails. Okay. Then now, moving forward, they said 70 tons of Nawak was produced. Okay, so meaning this is a total quantity that has been produced during the period. Then we are now moving on to the second cost, which is the actual cost or the actual result. Okay. All right. Direct material is 3,200 kilogram, costing $3,840. Okay. Bear in mind, this is the total cost of the 3,200 kg. That is why they said 3,200 kilograms costing 3,840. Here, they only give us what? The unit cost. That's the cost per one. Okay. Where they said direct material 50 kilogram at $1 per kilogram. But when we move on to the second part, which is the actual result, we realize that they gave us the total kilograms that was produced, and then the total cost involved. So this is the total cost. Okay, while this is the what? The cost per unit. So you should take notice of that. Then when we move on to direct labor, the question says 800 hours costing 6,080. Okay, so also this one too, when it comes to the hours that has been spent on the job, it amounted to $6,080. So this is not the per unit cost of it. So take notice of that one also. Okay. All right. Now we are required to calculate a direct material price variance, direct material usage variance, total direct material cost variance, direct labor rate variance, direct labor efficiency variance, and then total direct labor cost variance. This is what we are required to do. Okay. So from our observation, we realize that before you present a question, definitely you need to provide the name of the company. But you could realize that from the question, no name was given to us. Okay, they only gave us a name for the product, but not the business or the organization. You get it? All right. So please, that is it. Let me go over again before we move on to the next slide. I said, as far as questions on standard costing is concerned, they will always give you the question based on two different costs. One, standard cost and actual cost. Okay. So from here, you realize that the first information they gave to us was based on standard cost. Then moving forward, they gave us actual results. And I said earlier on that when it comes to the standard cost, these are the cost per unit that was given to us. But when we move on to the actual cost or the actual results, this they gave us what? The total cost of the goods that was produced. Okay. All right. So now let's move on to the solution. Before we move on to the solution, there are certain workings we ought to do. Okay. But let me just, I'll proceed. Then I'll try finding out certain things from you before I'll come back to this again. So now, this is how our solution ought to look like. So A, we are supposed to find our direct material price variance. And I believe by now you all know the formula. Okay. So I believe that wouldn't be much of a problem. So you're right. Direct material price variance equals to, then you quote the formula. Okay. It is very necessary that you quote the formula before anything else. So the formula is actual quantity used, all into bracket, standard price minus actual price. Okay. So actual quantity used will be outside. Then our standard price and our actual price will be in the bracket. Last week, I gave you a clue when it comes to memorizing the formula. I said that usually when you are asked, for instance, here the focus is on what? Material price, price variance. Okay. The focus is supposed to be on price. So when it comes to the items that will be in bracket, it will have to do with the difference between standard price and what? Actual price. Because the focus is on what? Price here. You get it? Price. So standard price minus actual price will be in bracket. Last week I also said that when we are talking about variances, we are talking about differences between standard cost and actual cost. Okay. So you could realize that in the bracket we have our standard price and then our actual price. Okay, just a reminder before we move on. So now, per the formula, actual quantity used is supposed to be outside the bracket. So now, let's go back to the information. Actual quantity used or actual material used. Do not forget that during the intro, I told you that information will be given to you based on standard cost and what actual cost. So now we are supposed to find what actual quantity use. So you just move to the second part of the question, okay, where you can boldly see this written as actual result. So you come, okay, quantity, actual quantity use. So, and the focus is on material, right? So you come and then you check direct material. The next thing is 3,200 kg. Okay, that so the actual quantity that was used is 3,200 kilogram. Okay, even a kg to tell you, okay, this is quantity. Okay, and do not forget the question asks for the actual quantity used. Quantity. So please, you don't have to go and write $3,840. No, it's not. It has not. This is not quantity. This has to do with an amount. Okay, money. But our focus is on what the quantity that was used. So we can see it clearly from the question that it is 3,200. So you just go and write what 3,200. Okay. All right. Please, I want to take my time and go through it step by step. So if you have any question, please you may ask before I move on. Okay. So any question for now? All right. Then open bracket for the formula. We are supposed to find standard price. Standard price. So let's move back to the question to find out whether that figure has also been given to us. Standard price. So let's go back to the question. So as you know, standard cost. Okay, so all information pertaining to standard is here, whilst actual is here. Okay, so we are still on direct material. The information given to us is that 50 kg at $1 per kilogram. $1 per kilogram. Okay, so you realize that this is what our standard price. Our standard price. So you go and then you write your $1. Okay, minus actual price. Minus actual price. Okay, let's go back to the question to see whether actual price was also given. Yes, Mensa. Yes, Mensa Mavis, you raise up your hand.
Sir,
Yeah,
hello. Sir, I didn't multiply the 50,000 times this one, the $1 over here.
I don't understand. Pardon me. You said?
So what you just did right now, eh?
Mm,
Say the question. What you just did right now, eh? Why is that I didn't multiply the $1 per kilogram times the this one, the amount?
times the amount. Yeah, 50 kg at
Yeah,
1 per
one.
kilogram. All right.
Yeah,
You do not need to multiply. Yeah, the focus is on the cost per unit of the material. Okay, the standard
okay.
price per unit. The
Yeah,
standard price per unit. And here we realize that we had 50 kg and the unit price is $1 per kg. So you don't need to multiply. Okay, you do not need to multiply.
Okay.
Meaning they are just telling you that is a standard price. Okay, that is a standard price at which it is being bought or it's being sold. Are you getting me? Per one. You get it? Yeah. So yeah, the focus is on the unit one. All right.
Mm.
That is how come we have one here. Now, the second one says that minus actual price. Minus actual price. Now, let's move back to so that we can see any actual price. Okay. This is the actual results column. Okay. Direct material. They said 3,200 kg costing $3,840. You could realize that 3,840 is not the unit price. Okay, that's the total price. Meaning that when they multiply 3,200 by a figure, they had 3,840. But that is not what we are looking at. Previously, when we were talking about standard price, we looked at the unit cost of a standard price, where we had what? $1 per kg. So when we come to actual price, okay, and they gave you an information like this: 3,200 kg costing $3,840. You should know that this is not the per unit price. This is what? The total price. So you have to find the unit price. You get it? Because you can't be deducting this unit price, which is one, from what? 3,840. No, this unit has to do with what? A unit cost. So when you come here and they give you the total figure, mathematically, to find the unit cost, you just have to divide the total quantity by the total cost that was given to you. Then you will find what? Your unit price or your actual price. So when it's given to you, you must read and then understand the question very well. Okay. So to be able to find our actual price, what we have to do is to work it out. So actual price of material. That from the question, the total cost is was 3,840, and then the direct material is 3,200 kg. So what you ought to do is to divide. Okay, mathematically, you just divide. So the figure or the total cost of the material, which is $3,840, will be the numerator, meaning to be at the top. Okay, then you divide it by what? The quantity, which is 3,200 kg. Okay, when that is done, I would like someone to do that division for us. Shina, do that division for us and then give us the answer.
Um, say,
Mm-hmm.
so I got 1.2.
$0. Okay, all right. So that is it. Okay, so this is what we have now, 1.20. So you just go and then insert it here. So you can see 1.20. Then that is all for actual price. Please, if you have any doubt, any questions, you may ask before
Sir,
proceed. Yeah.
sir,
Yeah, feel free and ask. I'm
sir,
listening.
sir. But in some calculators, they'll give you 1.2. Is it also correct?
Oh, yeah, mathematics is correct. You'll get the same figure at the end of the day. Okay. Yeah,
Okay, sir.
it's correct. All right. So let me just give you the hint. Usually, when it comes to certain thing, you need to do the division, the actual price. Okay. Division. When it comes to actual rate, you need to divide also. Okay, but when it comes to the standard quantity, the standard hours, those ones you need to multiply. Don't worry, we are moving step by step, so we'll get there. All right. So now we do our basic mathematics. Now 3,200 is outside the bracket, so we just have to repeat it. Yeah, Shina.
Sir, please. Shepherd said he's not getting what you are saying, so maybe
I
he can
shepherding.
go right.
Oh,
And he just joined.
you just join us. All
So
right,
now the spokesperson.
don't don't
Hey,
worry,
they
don't worry. Shepherd. We just started actually. Okay. So welcome.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, don't worry. Um, just just keep calm. When you have any question, you ask. We just started actually. Okay. So this is the
Okay, sir.
first. Yeah, this is the first solution we are trying to work on. Yeah.
Okay,
So
sir.
3,200 will be outside the bracket. Then now we find the difference between the figures that are in bracket. Okay. When when that is done, this is what you have 0.20. Okay. So please, this is what a positive. When you subtract this from this, you are getting what 0.20, which is positive. Is it positive or negative? When you do this basic math, will you get a negative figure or you'll get a positive figure? I want someone from the class to tell me. You all have your calculators with you, so do it. 1 minus 1.20. Will you what will you what will be the answer? Will it be a negative figure or a positive figure?
negative, sir.
All right, it will be negative. So bear in mind, the moment you arrive at a negative figure, please know that your total answer is going to be unfavorable or adverse. Okay. Whilst we're on campus, we look at favorable variance and unfavorable variance. Okay. The moment you do the subtraction and then you get a negative figure, at the end of the day, after doing your multiplication, so for instance, when we multiply 3,200 by 0.20, we are getting what? 640. Please do not write negative 0.20. No, you know. So just put it in bracket. Do not write negative 0.20. It is negative. But what the negative is telling you is that at the end of the day, you are going to have an unfavorable figure or an adverse figure. Okay. So please, when you do the subtraction and then it happens that you have a negative figure, do not add the minus. I'm stressing on this. Okay. Just write the figure, but in your mind know that, oh, okay, since it is negative, then the interpretation is that it is going to be unfavorable or it is adverse. You get it? All right. So when we multiply these two, that's 3,200 by 0.20. What are we getting? Shepherd, do the multiplication for us and tell us what you've arrived at.
Please, 640.
All right, $640. Then you write into bracket adverse, or you just put A. The A is standing for what? Adverse. Okay, or it's telling us that your figure is what? Unfavorable. Remember, I told you earlier on that once you arrive at a negative figure, know that your final answer will be what? Unfavorable or adverse. Okay, that is why you don't need to add the negative sign. Okay, the negative is just telling you that, okay, my variance is unfavorable, my variance is what? It's an adverse. Okay, so after you've written the 640, you just put into brackets A, or you can write the full word which stands for adverse, okay, or unfavorable. Any one of these two is accepted. Okay. All right. Let me make room for questions before we proceed to the next solution. Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Please, can you write U into bracket like the way you wrote A, like A? Can you write it?
The U for
Unfavorable.
unfavorable. I'll prefer if you write the A, the adverse. But because I realized from my observation, most of the solutions, they either write the A, which stands for adverse. Most of them they even write it in full adverse, or they write the unfavorable in full. Usually for the U, they don't usually put it there. But I think it's also it's also okay. Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
End of the
okay, sir.
FUA. Yeah. Okay. So it's okay.
Okay,
But if you can write it in full, if there is space, write it in full. It's okay. All right. Any other question?
okay, sir.
Any other question? All right. Meaning we can move on to B. Okay. Now, B, we are supposed to find or calculate for our direct material usage variance or direct material quantity variance. That is what we are expected to calculate for. So you go back to the formula. I told you that you need to quote the formula. That should be the first thing to do. And the formula is standard price, which will be outside the bracket. Okay. Then you open bracket. Standard quantity for actual production minus actual quantity used. Okay. Do not forget the clue I gave to you guys the other time. That here the focus is on what? Material usage. Okay, or quantity variance. So what ought to be in bracket has to do with what? Quantity. And we are talking about variance. And that is the difference between standard and what? Actual. So standard quantity for actual production and then actual quantity used will be in bracket. Then standard price will be outside the bracket. Okay. All right. So after the formula, let's go back to the question and see what our standard price is. What our standard price is. Yeah. Shepherd, for your sake, I was saying that usually when questions on standard costing has been given, okay, you realize that most often the information given to you will be segregated into two parts. That is the standard cost and then the actual cost. These two will be given to you. Okay. So from the information, when you are looking for your standard cost, this is where you're supposed to come. Okay. When it comes to actual results, this is where you're supposed to find. That is why I've bolded it so that you take you take good notice of it. Okay. So we are supposed to find standard price. Let's go back to the formula. Standard price, right? Yes. So standard price. So we are supposed to come here to find our standard price. Okay. And the focus is on our direct material usage. So when we move here, we could realize that direct material 50 kilograms at $1 per kilogram. Okay. So the standard price here is what? $1. $1. So you have to go back and then write your $1 here. It's outside the bracket. Then when we open the bracket, we are supposed to find our standard quantity for actual production. Standard quantity for actual production. So let's go back to the question. standard quantity for actual production. All right. So when it comes here, okay, you also need to do very simple workings. Now, for the standard, you must go and ask yourself, okay, how many units was produced at the end of the day? From the question, 70 tons was produced. Okay, so to find the standard quantity that was used, don't forget, it said was standard quantity for actual production that was used. To find that, we know what direct material is 50 here. By the end of the day, this is what they used. But what was the total quantity that was produced? Okay, they produced what 70 tons. So what you need to do is that you multiply your 50 by your 70 tons, and that will give you 3,500 kilograms. Take notice of this. When it comes to actual price of material, actual rate of direct labor, usually I just term them the actuals. When it comes to these two things, you need to do some simple divisions. And I think we did the first one. But when it comes to these two, that's standard quantity material and then the standard hours that was used. You need to multiply the what? The two figures, not excluding the total units that was produced. Okay, so here, standard cost, the direct material is what? 50 kilograms. Okay, but I don't just have to go and write 50 kilograms there, because at the end of the day, the 50 kg was used to produce quite a number of goods. So you must multiply the 50 by the 70 tons. So when that multiplication is done, we are getting 3,500. Just jot it somewhere that for standard quantity of material used, the standard hours that was used, I need to multiply. Then when it comes to the actual price of material and the actual rate, I need to divide. This should be a clue to you. Just jot it somewhere. Okay, because usually for all questions on standard question, these are the basic workings that you need to do. Okay, so just do not forget it. So when we multiply 50 kg times the units that was produced at that time, we are getting 3,500 kg. Okay, and this is our 3,500 kg. 3,500 kg. Okay, the focus is on the standard total that was produced. Okay, the actual production that has been done during that period is 3,500. Then we are supposed to find our actual quantity that was used. Our actual quantity that was used. So now, let's come back to our question. The actual quantity that was used, okay, actual quantity that was used is 3,200 kilograms. 3,200 kilograms. Do not forget that here they've not given you the unit cost. Okay, they gave you the total amount that was used and the total cost that was involved. Okay, that's what they gave to us here. But here they only gave us what? The unit cost. Okay, so there are two different things happening here. That is why for some we need to divide and for some we need to multiply. Okay, here this is the total quantity that have been used, which is 3,200 kg, which cost us 3,840. You get it? So here you don't need to do any division or anything. No, you just pick the total figure, the total quantity that was used during that period. Okay, you just have to use it, which is 3,200. And then when we come to our solution, this is 3,200 kg. Okay, all right. Any question now before I proceed? All right. Then once we've gotten this figure, so you should bear in mind that I think for every variance, okay, you need to do at least a working. Okay, that's direct material price. When we did workings, simplify working for what? Actual price. Okay, when it comes to direct material, we did workings for what? The standard quantity for actual production. And bear in mind, we are doing because the standard quantity has to do with what? The total quantity that was produced during the period. The total. Okay. Yes. Hence, it must go with what? The total or the actual quantity that has been used in producing what? That that goes. Okay. All right. So now let's proceed with our simple mathematics. So we need to repeat our $1 here and then deal with what? The figures that are in bracket. So we find the difference between these two, and that is 3,500 minus 3,200. Um, Jessica, what will you get when you subtract 3,200 from 3,500? Yes, the difference between 3,500. Okay, our standard quantity is 3,500, and then our actual quantity is 3,200. Find the difference between these two and then give me an answer. Amanyo Jessica.
300.
All right, 300. That when the 300 is it? Did you have a positive figure or a negative figure when you do the sum?
Positive.
All right, it's positive. So it is telling you that your figure is going to be what? Favorable. Okay, or F as we have it there. Favorable. Okay, so already you know that, okay, whatsoever I'm going to get will be what? Favorable. That's what it means when you have a positive figure. Okay, after doing the subtraction. So now we have 300 kilograms. Do not forget we have $1 here, so we need to multiply these two. Okay, 300 and then $1. When that is done, we are getting $300. Please, all the total figures are not going to be in what? Kilogram? No, we are talking about cost, money here. So your total is, you must add what? A currency symbol to it. So you don't have to go and write 300 kilograms here as your final answer. No, we are talking about money. Okay. All right. So when that is done, we are getting 300, and then it is essential that you put in bracket the F, or you can just write it in full. Favorable. Okay. Favorable. You can write as simple as that. So if you have any question, you may also ask. So also take note of this clue. When it is negative, it is what? Unfavorable. When it is positive, it is what? Favorable. As simple as that. Yeah. So if you have any questions, any suggestions, you can put them on board before we proceed. All right. Okay. No problem. So let me just ask. After subtracting the figures in bracket, okay, and then you have a negative figure, what interpretation is that giving you? This is to the class. After subtracting your figures in bracket and you had a negative figure, what is the interpretation? Anybody who is ready can just raise up his or her hand. Yeah, Mavis.
Say, it means that you get everything, everything that you get to be unfavorable.
Will, okay, will be unfavorable or what?
Say, adverse.
Adverse. Okay, it's
Say
ADVE.
adverse, yeah.
Yeah,
Say I know, say I
ADVERS.
know.
All right. Okay. So that is
Say
it.
I know now.
All right. And also take notice of this clue. Okay. I think I stated something earlier on that when it comes to the figures in bracket, okay, even before you arrive at the after quoting the formulas, okay, there are some of them you don't need any workings. You just go and pick the figures and then record it there. But there are some major things that ought to be worked for, okay, and it runs through almost all questions on standard costing, okay. And what are some of these workings that we are talking about? Yes, I think we worked on two now, so at least you can give me one of those two. Shepherd, Shepherd, what are some workings that ought to be done? Or Shepherd is gone off.
Yes.
It's gone off. Oh, okay. All right. So Shina, give me one. Then Amanyo also give me one. Shina first. Mhm.
Say please the question again.
Yes, I said we did certain calculations. Okay. That is okay. I don't want to go there. I said that usually for direct material price variance, after the formula, okay, some of the figures you just go back to the question and pick them without doing any special calculation. Okay. But there are also some where you need to what work certain figures out before finally sending the figures to where you are doing the main presentation. At least we've done two workings, so I'm just trying to know whether you've memorized the necessary workings that ought to be done, because it runs through all the questions on standard costing, so you need to take notice of it, otherwise you may forget. So I just want to know whether you are taking notice of the major workings that we are doing. Okay, so I just want you to mention any of the major workings that we did. Okay, the sub calculations we did. That's what I'm asking for.
So we did actual the workings for the actual price of
Okay,
material.
actual price. And then Amanyo, give us the last.
And uh,
Amanyo should give us the last one.
We calculated for the standard quantity
The
of
standard
actual product.
quantity. All right, so that's it. And I also said that for the actuals, okay, the actual price, for instance, you need to divide. But for the standard quantity, you need to what? Multiply by the total units that has been produced
Say,
during the period. Yeah, Mensa. Yeah, Mensa.
say, and is it always that you have to work for something?
Yes.
Yes, say. Say, is it always that you have to work for something? Oh, say
Yeah.
why?
Yeah. I told you guys that for standard costing, these are the basic workings that you need to do. And most of any question that has been given to you on standard costing, definitely you have to do these workings. You get it. So it's something that is necessary. Definitely you must do it. Okay. And do not forget, this is an examinable topic.
Sir,
It comes, so don't joke with it. Yeah,
sir,
yeah,
sir. So like in every questions now, and there is actual price in it, so you have to solve for it automatically. You have to
yes,
solve for it. Or what?
yeah. Okay, like that is okay. I realize that there are a lot of questions where it hasn't been calculated for. Okay, yeah, but when that means that you've been given a question where
Okay.
they've calculated for a reason, that one then you are cool, you are good to go. You don't have to stress yourself. Okay, just but
Okay.
it's usually it's rare.
Yeah.
Yeah, just that usually it's rare. Usually they prefer you calculating for it than they giving it to you just like that. Okay, yeah, all right. Um,
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
so
Thank you.
let's move on to C. All right, for C there is very easy. It's quite easy. Okay, because now they're asking you to calculate for the total direct material cost variance. The total, okay, the total. There are two ways of going about this. Okay, let's go for this method. After which I also teach you a very simple method of going about it. Okay, that is very simple compared to this one. But let's go by this first. Then I'll teach you the very simple one. All right. So total direct material cost variance. Do not forget that during our previous lesson, we said that total direct material cost variance can be divided into two. That is direct material price variance and then direct material usage variance. That was what we said last week. Okay. And when it comes to the formula for total direct material cost variance, we said usually we have the standard cost in one bracket and then we have what the actual cost in another bracket. Okay, so it has to do with you finding the difference between the standard cost and then the actual cost. So now we must group all the standard cost in one bracket. So here, all into bracket, we have standard price and then standard quantity for actual production. So it's going to be all into bracket standard price times standard quantity for actual production. Okay, standard price times standard quantity for actual production. So you realize that the standard costs are in what one bracket. Okay, then now let's move on to the items that ought to be in the other bracket. Okay, in the other bracket we have actual quantity times actual price. Actual quantity times what? Actual price. Okay. All right. So now you've already calculated for most of the things. So you just go back to your A and B and then pick the figures from there. So for standard price, from standard price, we had what? $1, right? This is the standard price, $1. So you just record your $1 times standard quantity for actual production. We also did the workings for that, and we had what? 3,500 kilograms. So you bring it straight 3,500 kilograms. Bracket closed. Minus bracket open. Actual quantity. So you go back from the question, the actual quantity we had is actual quantity that we had was what 3,200 kg. Okay, times actual price. The actual price also, when we did the calculation earlier, okay, we had 1.20. So this is it, 1.20. Then you proceed with the calculation. So when we multiply 1 by 3,500, we will get 3,500. Okay, minus, then we do the next multiplication. That is 1.20 times 3,200. When that is done, we will get 3,840. Okay, there is it. And do not forget, you are finding the difference. So you subtract 3,840 from 3,500. Amma, do that subtraction for us and tell us what you get. Do the subtraction for us and see what you will get. Mensa Mavis, we are still waiting for you.
Oh, sir.
Yeah, we are waiting
So my network, so like I didn't hear my.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
The difference
Oh,
between, yeah.
yeah. Sir.
Yeah.
Sir.
Oh, give us the answer. We are all listening.
Harry.
All right. Shina, give us the answer. Shina, give us the answer.
Say I got negative 340.
All right. And what is that telling you? What is the interpretation of that?
Say it's unfavorable.
All right, it's unfavorable. Okay, so it's $340, $340, and that is what? Adverse or unfavorable. As simple as that. Okay, and do not forget, I said do not bring the negative sign, even if you had negative. Okay, do not bring it. At the end of the day, the A or the F will tell us whether you had a negative figure or a positive figure. So please do not bring it. All right. Then, any questions? Any question? All right. Then we are done with material variance, that calculation for material variance. Okay. All right. Let's move on to D. All right. Before that, I think I said I'll teach you a very simple way of going about C, right? All right. So we said on earlier that total direct material cost variance can be divided into two, right? That is direct material price variance and then direct material usage variance. Okay, so what you need to do is to find the summation of these two. So now put this on paper. To find for C, okay, just write direct material price variance. We are trying to code the formula. Okay, so write direct material price variance plus direct material usage variance. Are you done with that?
Then please can you come again?
All right. So I'm just trying to tell you how to go about C. Okay. I said the formula is direct material price variance plus direct material usage variance. That's also another formula that you can use, okay, to find for C. I hope you've gotten the formula now. All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you can realize that we've already calculated for the direct material price variance. Is that not it? And we had $640, which was unfavorable. Okay. So now you write your 640. Okay. Adding the adverse plus what we had for direct material usage variance, which is $300 favorable. Now do the calculation and tell me your final answer. So it's going to be 640 adverse plus $300 favorable. So do the mathematics and then give me the final answer. Whosoever is done can just give us the solution. Ama, okay. Shina, what did you get? Or you're not ready yet?
Sir, please, I got um 340 adverts.
All right. So that's it. Amanyo, did you also get the same thing? So you realize that at the end of the day, you are going to get the same answer. Okay. Amanyo and Mensa, any question about that formula? Just that you must know how the
No, sir.
all right. So okay. If that has been well understood, then let's move on to D. D, we are supposed to calculate for direct labor rate variance. So first and foremost, you need to quote the formula. And the formula is actual hours. Then we open bracket. Standard rate minus actual rate, brackets closed. And do not forget, the focus is on what? Labor rate. Okay, so the rates will be in what? Bracket. So actual hours will be outside, and then standard rate and actual rate will be in the bracket. Now, let's go back to the question and find out what our actual hours is. So actual hours. So this for standard. The first part is for standard cost. The second part is for actual. We are looking for actual hours. Direct labor. This is 800 hours. The actual hours that was spent to produce a product is 800 hours. So move back to the solution. Then you record the hours that was used. 800 hours. 800 hours. That's pardon. All right. 800 hours. Then we move on. We're supposed to find our standard rate. Standard rate. Let's go back to the question. Find our standard rate. And you know, the first part is for what? The standard costs. So you move back, and we are talking about labor. So you go to the labor, and then you can see that the actual cost, the actual, the standard rate, okay, here is what? 8 per hour. 8. So we move and then we record our 8. Okay, that's the unit cost per hour. Okay, the unit cost per hour. So that is 8 minus actual rate. Okay, let's move back to the solution. 8. Now, I told you that for each of these, there is a simple workings that ought to be done. So for actual rate, okay, for actual rate, they said 800 hours costing 6,080. This is the total amount that was spent on what? Labor. Okay. The 800 hours that was spent by workers in the factory amounted to 6,080. But we don't need the whole figure. What we need is just what? The unit cost. Because when we're finding our standard rate, okay, here we just find what the unit cost. That is cost per hour spent on the job was what? 8. So when you move on to the second part, which is actual result, and then they gave you 6,080. This is not the per hour cost, or that's not the rate per hour. It is just giving you the total hours that has been spent by workers, the total amount that was spent or that was paid to our workers. Okay, but we don't need a total, we just need what? The rate. That's 1. Okay, so you need to divide. That is why earlier on I gave you a clue that for the actuals you divide, for the standards you multiply. So for actual rates of direct labor, you need to divide the total hours by the total cost. So here we have 6,080, which is the total cost, divided by 800 hours. When that is done, we are getting 7.60 values. So you just move to your solution, then you write your 7.6 or 7.60. It's the same thing. Okay, then you are done with that. Please, if you have any question with the workings, you may ask before we proceed. So, Amanda Jessica, when you subtract these two, that's 8 minus 7.6, what will the answer be? Jessica, 8 minus 7.
0.4.
All right. Is it positive or negative?
Positive.
All right, positive. So it's telling you that the total figure you get at the end of the day will be favorable. Okay. So this is 0.40. When we multiply 0.40 by 800, we will get $320. $320. And that is what? Favorable. Because when we did the subtraction, we had a positive figure. So you are going to put F in bracket, or you can write it in full, favorable. Okay, that is that. Then we move on to the last one. Then we close for today. The last one is direct labor efficiency variance. You guys, it's also the same as direct labor hours variance. Okay, when you see the efficiency, when maybe efficiency is not there, you see hours, is the same thing. Okay, so we code the formula: standard rate, all into bracket, standard hours for actual production minus actual hours. So after the formula, let's go back to the question and see what our standard rate is. Standard rate. So the standard rate is what? 8. Okay. So we move back and then we write our 8 here. Then our standard hours for actual production. The standard hours for actual production. Sorry, this is in hours. Okay. This is in hours, not in kg. The standard hours. All right. All right. Standard hours. Let's go back. Standard hours. Standard hours. We have 10 hours. Okay. By here, we need the total or the summation of the hours that was spent in producing 70 tons. Okay. So we need to multiply the 10 by the 70. 10 by 70. That is why we have here standard hours. Standard hours. 100 hours times 70 tons. And that will give us 700 hours. Okay, meaning we are expecting to use at least 700 hours in getting the job done. Okay, that's the standard that we've set for ourselves. 700 hours. So please do not forget, you always need to do workings for standard quantity of material, standard hours. Okay, and when doing that, you need to multiply them by the total figures. After which you send the total or whatsoever you've gotten to where the main solution is. And remember, all workings must be shown. Okay, so after that, 10 hours multiplied by 70 tons, we are getting 700 hours. 700 hours minus 800 hours. Where are we getting the hours from? From the formula. We said standard hours minus actual hours. Actual hours that was spent in producing 70 tons. So let's go back. The actual hours is 800. Okay, so we spent 800 hours in producing 70 tons. Okay, so we go back to the formula, the solution, and then do the subtraction. So here we are having 700 minus 800. 700 minus 800. This will give us a negative figure. But I told you earlier on that do not write the negative. Do not let the negative show. Okay? So just put into bracket and then write the figure in the bracket. So here, 700 minus 800, we will have negative 100, but we are not going to show the negative here. The negative is just telling us that, okay, at the end of the day, we are going to have a figure which is what? Unfavorable, or a figure which is adverse. You get it? So we multiply 8 by 100. What our total answer will be is 800 and that is unfavorable. As simple as that. So that is it. That is it. Any question? Some of the things I try omitting them in order to probe and find out about. I realize we spend quite a time, so I just have to proceed and do away with a lot of questioning. All right. Please, any question? If you don't have any question, then let me ask you to do this for me. Then we call it a day. Shepherd, I realize you went off for quite a number of hours, but don't worry. After this, I believe Senama will put the video on YouTube. Okay, so I'll try to get the link to you so that you can download and then go back to it. All right. So, in the absence of question, I would like you guys to find the total labor cost variance for me. The total labor cost variance. The total labor cost variance. I would like you to work out for it and give me the total, the final answer. I taught you two major ways of going about it. One is very simple, aside the normal one that you can see. Use any of the formulas, okay, or the formula to get me the total direct labor cost variance.
That is unfavorable.
$480 unfavorable. Okay. Yes. Amanya, what did you get?
$580 unfavorable.
All right. So our answer is $480 unfavorable. As you can see, $480 unfavorable.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
I've done that is what's it commas.
All right. Okay. So in the absence of any question, I'd like to say thank you for today. And please, uh, just after here, I'll send the slides to the Google Classroom. Try and then access them. And please, I'd like you to try your hands on